What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. Guys, this video is all about Star Wars, and it is about 3 iconic planets that we are going to be visiting in either episode 8 or episode 9. Now, all of this information comes from an article that is on StarWarsNewsNet.com. One of the guys there claims to know for sure that these 3 planets from the old Lucasfilm George Lucas movies are going to be showing up again in either episode 8 or episode 9. So I kind of wanted to take you through each of these planets and talk about maybe what it could mean for the story as we move forward. So let's get right into it. Now, the first planet is Tatooine, and I find this really interesting. The Force works in mysterious ways, right? Because we just had the Twin Suns episode on Star Wars Rebels, and that episode felt like a perfect setup for a Obi-Wan picture, and I think it also just continues the theme of Tatooine being so important to Star Wars. Now, a number of different things are going on here, and I don't want to get too spoilery here, but I believe that Adam Driver made some comments a couple months ago about how episode 8 is really a character film, and it really focuses on Ben Solo, or Kylo Ren's character, and the journey that he is on. He, of course, idolizes his grandfather, Darth Vader, and what Vader's overall mission was. And where does the whole story of Darth Vader start? It starts on Tatooine. So, you know, whether you believe that Pelagus created Anakin there, or whether you believe Sidious created him there, or whether you believe his mom was lying and there was no immaculate conception, either way, young Anakin Skywalker starts his life on Tatooine. So it's not outside of the realm of possibilities that Ben Solo may go there either looking for artifacts that would then lead him to understand his grandfather a bit more. It is, of course, rumored also that Luke goes back to Tatooine and that he actually creates the new Jedi Order on Tatooine, and that building that is in the background when Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren are slaughtering people in The Force Awakens. Some people think that that could be the Jedi Temple and that that could be Tatooine. Couple problems. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess it could rain on Tatooine and all that. But I also don't personally believe that that was the slaughtering of Luke's temple right then and there. But it is very interesting either way that you could see a situation where either Luke or Ben go to Tatooine in order to better understand Darth Vader. Vader, or Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, is still the quintessential thing that the Star Wars story is all about. It is all about Vader. You can read the prequels to the original trilogy as a story about Vader. And of course, the original trilogy is about Luke, but it's really about Luke's redemption of his father. We know in the Aftermath novels, especially the third one, Empire's End, that there was a force that Palpatine was feeling from the unknown regions of space, which a lot of people are speculating is Snoke. And we know for a fact that Vader was not sensing it. It is also, or a lot of people think that this is because he had very much conflict still within him. Like Luke says, I sense the conflict within you. And after knowing that Luke Skywalker is his son, which we find out from the canon comic books, that he sends Boba Fett actually to go find out who this kid is that blew up the Death Star, and he's got Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and his name is Skywalker, and Anakin, Vader at the time, starts to piece together that this is likely my son, and that the Emperor has been lying to him and lied about the deaths of Padme and the death of the son and all this interesting stuff. Very interesting that they filled out the canon in that way. But my point is that Vader is still a big part of what is going on here, and the fact that Ben Solo idolizes him is probably what is going to take us to Tatooine again through the narrative. What would be really cool is if Luke and Rey are sort of on this parallel path to Ben, and they are sort of one step behind him. Like Ben goes to Tatooine, finds something out. Then Luke and Rey show up and they want to know what Ben was looking for or something to that effect. I think that would be really, really cool. But in either case, we're not done with the Twin Suns desert planet. It's probably going to be a big staple of canon moving forward and a place we visit in either episode 8 or episode 9. Now, the next iconic planet that we will be heading to is Endor. And I know Endor is technically a moon, but whatever. And they even go this in the article, whatever. It's close enough. So we're going back to Endor. Hopefully we get more Ewoks. I'm not one of these Ewok haters. I actually like the Ewoks a lot. And this is, of course, the final resting place for Vader's helmet and Vader's armor. They are burning the armor at the end of Return of the Jedi, and we know that Kylo Ren has that helmet. And it's strange. I mean, look, Sidious was a smart guy. Sidious was very much in tune with the dark side. It's not outside of the realm of possibilities that he was on or building the second Death Star close to Endor for a specific reason, whether that be a Sith artifact, a Force nexus, or something to that effect. So I would really love for there to be a big reason that they were there on Endor. I mean, Palpatine refers to the Battle of Endor as a shatter point, right? A place where the entire future of the galaxy was going to come at a crossroads and go one way or the other. There's the opening scene of Empire's End where Palpatine is talking to Gallius Rax and telling him that he has to be ready to become the outsider. And I know there's still some people that believe Gallius could be Snoke, even though he gets supposedly killed at the end of that book. So wouldn't that be interesting if we're seeing more or less the birth, or a place in time of Snoke's creation there on Endor with the Emperor? Could be very interesting. Also important to note that above Endor is that place where Vader makes his one mistake in an otherwise flawless career. This is from the Force Awakens novelization, where Snoke literally tells Kylo Ren, you and I know that the historians got it wrong. It was not this, and that ended the Empire. It was compassion. And it was Vader's compassion to not kill the son. And had he done that, the Empire would have thrived and all would have been right in the galaxy according to the dark side users. So interesting, because Snoke saw that. That's another big question. Is like, how did he even know that? Nobody knew that. Luke knew it, but nobody else who's alive knew it. So how did he know that? Very interesting. And I think it's pretty cool that we're going to be going to Endor. Like I said, it would make sense if Ben is on this journey retracing the steps of his grandfather. Maybe he's trying to better understand it. Whether it be for light or for dark, maybe he's just truly trying to better understand Anakin's journey. Man, it'd be really cool if that is what he's doing and he goes there and has maybe some Force visions, picks up an artifact or whatnot. But the guys at Star Wars Newsnet claim that we are going back to Endor in either episode 8 or episode 9. So the last planet that we will be visiting in the future Saga films is Mustafar, which is confirmed to be the location that we saw in Rogue One that has to do with Vader's castle. Now you're starting to see a theme here, right? All of these places very important to the creation and the development of Darth Vader. This is Ben Solo's journey, right? So it would be appropriate for Ben Solo to go to Mustafar. I really want to see him take over the castle and to more or less live there and to have access to some stuff that maybe Vader had access to, whether they be holocrons or artifacts or whatever. I really want him to be there, and there's been some rumors that we're going to get a showdown, a big fight on Mustafar in either episode 8 or episode 9, and this will be Kylo Ren versus either Rey or Luke Skywalker. So, it's I've said it before, it's repeating of this thing. He's retracing the steps of his grandfather. He's on this type of a journey, and it would be really interesting for them to visit. It would be, of course, cool for Luke to go there. Maybe he takes Rey there and has like an understanding of it. Because one of the things that's really interesting is we don't know how much Luke actually knows about Anakin's journey. We would assume it was a lot. But one of the things that they mention in this article, and I'll put a link to it in the description because I think it's a really cool article, is the fact that Luke and Kylo are on kind of parallel journeys where Luke is trying to find greater knowledge of the Force. This is something that the story group talks about a lot, Pablo Hidalgo talks about a lot, is the fact that the Jedi of Yoda's era were way too dogmatic, and they saw things in a certain light and they were just simply wrong, that maybe they had also gotten away from what was truly the responsibility of a Force user and what the role of a Jedi is within that dynamic. So that is why Luke is almost immediately looking for clues to what, further ancient knowledge of the Force and of the Jedi. Very interesting stuff. Now, the last thing I want to leave you guys with is actually a quote that is from the Journal of the Whills, and this quote is actually at the beginning of the Force Awakens novelization. And it goes, "First comes the day, then comes the night. After the darkness shines through the light. The difference, they say, is only made right by resolving of gray through refined Jedi sight." So one of the big themes that we've seen in canon under Disney is this whole push towards the gray. They are trying to introduce a more morally ambiguous view of the Force and what one is supposed to do within the Force, but that could be a whole different video. But I thought it was pretty interesting they bring that up in this article, and as we're retracing the steps of the Chosen One in these movies, it is very interesting to frame that in sort of the gray area. What does it mean as far as good and bad, right and wrong? And the gray, the Bendu, the one in the middle. What do you think? And what do you think about going back to these iconic planets in the future Saga films? Love to hear your thoughts. Hit me up in the comments section. Of course, like this video if you thought it was dope, and subscribe to the channel to get a bunch more Star Wars videos. I have people hit me up in the comment section of various videos almost every day, and they're like, do more Star Wars videos. And trust me, I want to, and I'm going to. It's just we have a lot of things going on here at the Den of Nerds, and we're trying to expand our coverage a lot. So please forgive me, but know that I am personally going to Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to be doing a bunch of coverage down there. I'm looking to hook up very soon with the guys over at the Rebel Scum podcast, which, by the way, they do great work over there. I'll put a link to their channel in this description. Awesome podcast, do a lot of cool stuff, very knowledgeable about Star Wars, and they and myself are going to start doing collaborations a lot. I'd love to be on their show and do different things like that. So plenty of Star Wars stuff going on here at the Den of Nerds, so subscribe to the channel if you're into that sort of stuff. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See you.